Depending on your standards, the federal bureaucracy is huge. In 2012, more than 2 million people worked for federal agencies, a number which does not include the 500,000 that work for the United States Postal Service or the 1.2 million that work for the military. A substantial number of federal bureaucrats work in clientele agencies of some form. More than 270,000 employees work for the Department of Veteran Affairs alone, second only to the Department of Defense in terms of numbers of employees. Interestingly enough, even though people usually think about Washington, D.C. when they think about the government, well over 90% of the members of the federal bureaucracy work outside of Washington. The size of our nation's bureaucracy is even larger if you include all the employees of state and local agencies. The largest growth in bureaucracy has actually happened at these levels. The number of federal workers per population has dropped over the last 25 years, but these cuts often lead indirectly to the creation of more state and local bureaucrats to pick up the slack left by the federal government. It should also be noted that while the size of federal bureaucracies has decreased, over the same period of time, the regulatory power of the federal government has increased, and the amount of federal budget dollars devoted to federal agencies has increased as well. As your textbook discusses, the civil service system was created to do away with the role of patronage within the federal bureaucracy. Since then, it has become relatively easy to get into the federal bureaucracy, provided you have the requisite skills and knowledge that the position require. The majority of those who work for bureaucracies are lifelong civil servants who retain their jobs in advance based on how well they perform those jobs. Presidents may come and presidents may go, but civil servants stay put regardless of the political winds. Towards the top of the bureaucratic structure within any given agency, there are individuals considered to be senior executives. These top-tier positions, often very technical in nature, are filled by individuals that are retained because of their extensive expertise in the area. To maintain their interest, these positions offer salaries that are often commensurate with those in the private sector. The final category of bureaucrats that we need to talk about are often referred to as short-timers. Even though patronage is no longer the name of the game in bureaucracies, a small number of top officials in most agencies still get their job as a result of political appointment, usually by the president. Unlike lifelong civil servants, these political appointees leave office once their appointing president leaves, so that the new president can make his or her own appointments. Upon leaving office, these short-timers often shift and begin working for state or local bureaucracies. Others move into the private sector and join companies, and many choose to put their subject knowledge, expertise, and familiarity with the government to use by becoming lobbyists. When we talked about Congress, we discussed the difference between substantive and descriptive representation. The ultimate verdict on Congress was that it was nowhere near being descriptively representative of the nation as a whole, at least on the basic demographic features we would usually think of. The story is different with bureaucracies. Both at the level of career civil servants and political appointees, federal agencies are more descriptively representative than any other part of the government. Presidents can have a large role to play in this regard. President Clinton, for example, purposefully tried to increase how descriptively representative his political appointees were.